There we go. Can everybody see my presentation? It says Creative Commons Media. Yeah, it's a nod. That's great. Okay, so as I was saying, I'm Rebecca Riley. I work on the Innovate team here, but I'm based at Scarborough TEC. So I'm in Scarborough at the moment at home, so I apologise if anybody bursts in, any of my children. So today we're going to have a look at Creative Commons Media, which is, what is it? So Creative Commons Media is pretty much anything that's covered by a Creative Commons license. It usually exists online, but not necessarily, and it's usually being created as a result of a creative process. That's, well, isn't everything, but you know what I mean. Let's move on then. So the next thing we need to know is then, what is a Creative Commons license? So when you create something online or in the real world, the intellectual copyright to the thing that you've created automatically belongs to you. No one else can or should use that resource without your permission. So Creative Commons is a standardized way of releasing the copyright, so you can share it in a controlled way, kind of. So it is designed for people who would like to share their work, but don't want to put their work entirely in the public domain. The Creative Commons licenses, it's a suite of 6 licenses, from just sharing it a bit up to completely sharing your work. And these are based around kind of like whether you would like it modifying or whether you mind if it's modified, how it's going to be used, whether you want credit for it, and if people are going to make money from it are the kind of criteria that we're looking at. So you can use your Creative Commons license to license just about anything. It's generally free to use, and it's great if you want to control the way your intellectual property is reused. I just put this in at the end to say, so why do we need this? And I think we need it because intellectual copyright it's very easily breached, but lots of people who go through this creative process are really happy to share, they just don't want to be exploited. So that's what it's all about. Oh, let me show you the licensing. So this is a little chart showing you how the Creative Commons licensing works. So if you can see at the top in the green area is the most open. So that's things that do not have copyright and are therefore in the public domain. And you have said, yes, take my work and use it however you like. You have no control over it. And at the bottom, we have in the red areas, copyright, all rights reserved. So you can't really use it at all. And on the sliding scale up from most reserved to most open, we have the creative copyright levels, the 6 levels. So looking at these, we've got the CC icon identifies it as having a Creative Commons license, sorry. The little person indicates attribution. So this is kind of like you would need to say who created it, and attribute that to them. The dollar one obviously means whether you're allowed to use it commercially or not. So lots of people will share their work but wouldn't like you to make money from it. And the equal signs means no derivatives, and that's kind of to do with whether it can be modified or not. So if it's got this, people would not like you to modify it. They're saying yes, share it, use it, but don't modify it in any way. And the little circular arrow means share alike, which is yes, you can use it and you can share it, but I would like you to share it under the same criteria, the same Creative Commons criteria that I shared it under. So these are the 6 levels, and they've been identified as being least open, can't share it or use it at all. And then people who just want to share it but don't want it modifying. People who are happy to have their work shared and don't mind if you remix it a bit. People who are happy to have it shared, changed, and don't mind if you make money from it. They're kind of like the 3 main areas. So how do we find out more about this? Because the Creative Commons, I'll go to their website, that's the place to find out about it. and Creative Commons is a not-for-profit organisation in America, but the licensing works worldwide. So you could come here and have a look at, find out a lot more information about it and how to use it. I'm just going to have a look at the licenses in more detail on the website. So again, we've got the licenses, and here it takes you through all of the things that you could identify your work as. So CC BY, for example, it has the Creative Commons license, and you must give credit to who was the creator. And it runs through all of the ways you can use the license, the different variations. And down at the bottom, I think it tells us how to apply a CC license to your work, because you might think this is all great and I would love to share my work. How do I do that? And essentially all you have to do is identify it in some way that this has got a CC license on it, and they're suggesting putting the text in here and the type of Creative Commons license that you would like to use. And there's also a automatic HTML generator for you here that you can use to create a licensing bit of code to go on your online resource. Right, so how does this affect us as educators? Shall we have a look at this? So you've probably heard of open educational resources, and they are educational resources that have been that are being controlled in some way by a Creative Commons license, and the kind of things that you could find as an educational resource that are available for you to either access, share, copy, modify, images, obviously, videos, audio music, recorded lectures and tutorials, for example, TED Talks, textbooks, animations, modular course content, so not complete courses, but modules that you could take and put into one of your courses, and obviously complete courses. Let's have a look at what the Creative Commons website tells us about this. So this is a great page because it shows you the kind of open educational resources, OERs, that are available and where you can find them. First of all, they're suggesting try a general search in Google. You're best off searching for the actual words Creative Commons. CC obviously has a lot of, is an acronym for lots of things. So yes, you can try that. They have on this site got a CC search, which currently is defaulting to the photo and image search. I presume they're doing a bit of work on that. It used to allow you to search pretty much, it's not an entire web search, it's kind of like a list of providers that store a lot of CC content that they will allow you to search from this site. The CC search on this site for image search will search the main people who store Creative Commons licensed images on the web. So Flickr is the big one, and Pixabay, Clipsafari, Photopedia. You might have heard of some of these, and they are sites where you can upload your images to be used by other people, and you can control their usage using a Creative Commons license. I'm just going to nip now to do a show you how to do an image search on Bing looking at the Creative Commons licensing. So if I search for let's search for happy students on Bing, works the same in Google. And the first thing I want to do is change my filter to say that I'm looking for images. And then within the filters for images, you'll see that there's one here for license. And at this point, I could say I want to look for all Creative Commons licensed images. If I clicked on this one, it would reduce my search to people who had identified their images with a Creative Commons license. I would then have to investigate the images to find out which one it is. However, Bing goes a little bit further and has identified the licenses according to the criteria of sharing and using commercially. So if I was a could perhaps want free to modify, share and use. So I wouldn't be able to make money from it, but I could modify it, maybe crop the photo and share it and use it. So this is the kind of thing you would use as an educator. On this one, it will reduce the number of images available to me, but there's still a lot of good stuff there. And you can be pretty confident that you're okay using those images in your work. You might want to find out who took the image and credit them, if that's possible, by visiting the site and having a look. If the site is a kind of like the root of where the image is hosted, then that's quite easy to do. Right. Let me move on. Oh, I've gone through my images and shown you. So yeah, as we said, that site works on the search image. So yeah, but do have a look at Flickr and Pixabay. I mean, Flickr, for example, has great photos on it, and so does Pixabay. The next one is videos, which is a tiny bit more complicated. If you are searching for videos that you can use, you need to, there isn't actually a search on the Creative Commons website. You need to do it via YouTube or Vimeo, whichever you prefer to use. So if I whiz over to YouTube now, I'll show you how to do this. Wait for this to load. What should we search for? Let's search for, oh look, flipped classroom. That was my last search. Lots of great videos on how to create a flipped classroom. Can I use those in my teaching? Not necessarily. Whereas if I look at the filter here, and you'll see down here there's a Creative Commons option, and then I know that these have been identified with a Creative Commons license, and if I open them, at some point within the video they will have identified how they would like that sharing. I would say that the Creative Commons search in YouTube really does reduce the amount of videos that you get in your result. So if there is one that you particularly want to use, it's always worth popping a text over to the person who created it and asking them if you can use it, which is what I usually do, and people are usually quite good at saying yes. And I always broach it by saying, you don't have a Creative Commons license on your video. Is there any chance I can use it in my teaching? And they will either say yes, what's Creative Commons, and I'll look into it, and it's a great way of advocating the use of the licensing. Right, so complete courses is the next one I was going to look at. I think I've actually missed the page I was going to show you. Let me whiz past and see if I can find it. Here we go. I was going to show on the Creative Commons website, there is an entire list of I was showing you this, we just didn't get very far down. So the list of things that are open educational resources that you might want to use. I got as far as images and got sidetracked a bit there. So let's go down. We had a look at images, we've had a look at videos, there's audio and music searches. There's lots of suggestions on this site of the people who might provide these for you. And then it moves on to general educational search for OERs. So OER Commons, Orange Grove, these are general stuff. There's recorded lectures and video tutorials. A lot of this content is American. MIT do great open courseware that you can use in your sessions. There's open textbook search here, so if you're looking for textbooks which are free to use online, that's a great place to look for them. Animations, modular components of courses, and moving all the way down, I wanted to have a look at complete courses. So there are lots of complete courses available, shared for free on the web. And this is a great list of the ones that are currently available. Some of them you can download, remix and then teach with, so the Open Course Library is an example of that. MIT Open Courseware, anytime that you look at anything to do with open educational resources, MIT comes up as a great provider. And then obviously moving down to our own UK Open University Learning Space. Let's have a look at this one. So this is created by the Open University. I'm sure you will know about this and very probably have studied on some of their courses. There are free courses here. And if I search for, I don't know, what should we search for? Criminology. Sorry, it's not letting me. There we go. Let's see what we get any courses. Yeah. And you'll see that within this site there is various courses you can do at various levels, intermediate, advanced, and how many hours the course is going to take. And these are courses you log in, you book onto them, and you work through the courses, and they're, you know, full learning experiences, videos to watch, information to read, and then some form of assessment going on, and a big assessment at the end, so that you know you've definitely done some learning and passed a course. I'm not sure how, I don't think these can be, you can share these with your students if they would like to come on them. I don't think you can break them up and use them, but they're still a great resource. Okay. Oh, we've had a look at images. I'll whiz back through, make sure I haven't missed anything. Complete courses. Just had a look at that. I'm going to come back to the meeting and see if that's it for my presentation. I hope there was something there that you hadn't heard of before. Perhaps how the licensing actually works. It is incredibly easy to use, and I think that's what people like about it. You pretty much just, you know, write it on the thing that you've created, and you have, you know, you've licensed it. Okay, so I'll come back to the meeting. We can have a chat about that. If anybody has got any OER resource that they'd like to share, that would be great. I am pretty new to all this. I've only been in post for about 2 months, so it would be great. Hello, is anybody there? Do feel free to turn your microphone on and chat. Okay then, nobody got anything to add? Yeah, Glenn, hi.
Hi, thanks very much. I thought it would just be about licenses, but obviously what you've done, you've opened up the where we can sort of dip into different resources here as well. So that's been really useful. So I'm a bit of a dinosaur when it comes to technology. I've been at the Institute for 39 years, so acetates were the thing for me many years ago. But thanks very much. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, I think people can be generally quite scared of sharing the things that they create. I think obviously you spend a lot of time creating your resources for your classes, and they are a really, you know, a valuable thing to you and to your organisation. And it really depends on the philosophy of your organisation whether they, you know, would like you to share them or not. I know I've worked at places where the intellectual property actually belongs to the person you're employed with as you create your resources, if that makes sense. So I guess it's kind of up to them whether they would like you to share them or not. But that's a discussion for someone other than me. But I find it quite interesting that, you know, most educational institutions that I've come across, obviously I've only worked for Scarborough TEC for 2 months, you know, really promote, you know, sharing with not just within the organisation but outside as well, because, you know, it's for the good of everyone, really.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Right then, if there's no more questions, I'll close this call, and might have time for a cup of tea before you move on to something at 10:30. All right then.
Okay, thank you
very much.
Bye-bye.